Hey, happy Friday. My name is Tammy Simon Fern. I'm a college and career coach at NICC. And welcome to today's edition of Fun Fridays from the Field Career Chats, brought to you by NICC's College and Career Connection Program and Keystone AEA. Today we have with us Dr. Laurie with Nordic Chiropractic. And I will let Dr. Laurie introduce herself and tell us more about what she does before we dive into questions.
Cool. So, as stated, I'm Dr. Laurie. I have my office up in Decorah, Iowa. So just a brief intro into me. I had no idea I was going to be a chiropractor. I had not even considered anything in the healthcare field. I went through high school. I went and got my 4-year undergraduate degree. Still didn't know I was going to be a chiropractor, and by chance, I actually started working at a chiropractic office, doing their front desk work, booking appointments, taking people back to the rooms. And I just noticed a change in people before and after their adjustment. And I started asking the chiropractor I was working for, I was like, what are you actually doing though? Because you're with the people 5, 10, 15 minutes. And the light in their eyes are different. They're walking different. They seem happier. I don't really understand what's going on. And so she started pulling me into the room, letting me shadow her on slower days. And from there, I decided to become a chiropractor, went through chiropractic school, and then opened my office in Decorah directly after school. So it's not something that you like have to plan for, since you're in 9th grade or anything like that, right? People go into chiropractic at all different ages of their life. We had kids in our school who were in their 40s and 50s, and people who were straight out of college who had planned on it since they were in 8th grade, probably, right? Mm-hmm. So speaking of that, so we do, for chiropractic school, you do have to have a 4-year undergraduate degree before going to school. There are some programs you can do where I think it's called like a 3+1 program, where you do like 3 years at undergrad and then your 4 years at chiropractic school, and then like the 1 year overlaps between the two, probably to save you tuition dollars and time and all that. If you plan to do that, I didn't have that plan, but it works out really well for people if you want to pair it that way between different colleges.
I'm just going to interrupt real quick, also to let others know, if they have any questions, if anybody else has any questions for Dr. Laurie, you can put them in the chat box or in the chat. What I was going to say is, what is the 4-year, like, what did you get your 4-year degree in? And is there anything like more specific that you have to get it in, or like kinesiology? I hear a lot of people talk about kinesiology, and I think that's one of the ones that I usually kind of hear. What did you get yours in?
Yeah,
I know the answer to this, but
so my 4-year degree was actually in theater, dance, and psychology. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, maybe indirectly related, more so maybe the psychology aspect. Here's the beauty of chiropractic. You can really get your 4-year degree in anything, right? Mm-hmm. And transfer over. There are a certain amount of credits you do need in a certain amount of biologies, a certain amount of, like, you need like physics 1 and 2, I think, or at least I did. I remember that because, so for me, right, going from a theater and dance in psychology undergrad to chiropractic school 2 years after that, I did have to go back and take like physics 1 and 2, and I think I needed one more I needed general chemistry, because I had avoided that in undergrad. But the rest of the credits I had just through like stuff that was gen ed credits for me when I was doing my degree. So there is some requirements, but it's not like, oh, you have to major in biology or kinesiology or anything like that. Obviously, if you do something like that, it's all going to fit right in, and you don't have to worry about, do I have the right amount of chemistry and physics and bios and all of that, right?
Yep.
But yeah, you can really go with any degree that any degree that you are interested in, right? But generally, the more science or body-based, the more prepared you'll be for the schooling. Yep.
Okay.
Great question. So I just want to point out that one of the things, because I know we only have like 20 minutes, one of the things I love the most about chiropractic is you have such a broad range of people that you can help and that you can work with. So when we look at other, there's so much I want to tell you, like I have 1,000 things racing through my brain right now, but so there's so many people you can help, right? Like if we look at other things, like if you become a pediatrician, you're stuck with working with children, right? If you become a foot doctor, you're stuck with working people with foot doctor problems, right? Or orthopedic surgeon, you're stuck doing that. With it, which, you know, you might be happy with. I like variety. So the cool thing within chiropractic, like Fridays are my early day. So I actually started working on people at 7 this morning, work till right before this, and then I'll work after till noon. But I've already seen like a 2-month-old baby, a 40-year-old woman, a 90-year-old man, a 16-year-old girl. And that's just in the last couple hours, right? And so you really get, every person has a different injury, needs a different adjustment, is in a different stage of their life. You really will never get bored as a chiropractor. That's the cool thing, I think. The other thing I really like about it is it's a completely different approach than any other type of healthcare. We're not trying to give you a medication to fix or regulate something in your body. We're not surgically trying to go in and fix anything or take a part of your body out. So all that we're doing, and I say all, not to simplify it, but this is really all it comes down to, is if we're looking at the spine, we have 2 spinal bones. There's your disc between, there's your nerve, there's your spinal cord going down the middle. I'm sure all of us learned in elementary school how the body works is the brain sends messages down the spinal cord, out your nerves, and tells your body what to do. Your body does that task or isn't able to do that task, whatever happens, and then your body reports back up to your brain. So all that I'm looking for, right, is that your spine is aligned. So that way your spinal cord and your nerves have the most amount of room so they can function properly. Your brain and your body can talk, okay? When you need an adjustment, you're subluxated. So you should be here when this lights up green. When you're subluxated, you're off here. That puts pressure on your nerves and your spinal cord. So wherever that's going, that area doesn't work right. So we're just trying to find that subluxation and then push it back into place. So that's the really cool part, is like, we're not saying there's anything wrong with your body, right? You're just a little bit subluxated. You're a little bit off. Let's push you back. You don't need anything added or taken out of your body, right? And then that also allows us the ability to work on everybody, right? Because everyone has a spine that could go out of place. Everybody has some sort of spinal issue, right? At some point in their life, maybe not today, right? But think of the trauma. We have falls that kids have, being born, C-sections, car accidents, stress from sitting like this on our computer, falling in the snow, shoveling accidents. And then there's just like daily life of stress, right? Anytime you get too much stress, it's not good on your spine. So, in a way, it's really good job security because people are getting hurt every day, right? I hate to say it that way, but we will never run out of people to work on. And the good news for you guys as students, if you're looking at going into chiropractic, is we actually have a shortage of chiropractors. Like, we literally cannot get enough, especially right now, because people are getting really sick of taking medications. They're good, they work well, but they're looking for something different, right? And so we need more chiropractors and more and more. So for example, up here in Decorah is like 8,000 people.
Mhm.
I think there is now 9 chiropractors in town, and we're all busy all the time, right? Like we just can't keep up. So there's plenty of opportunities in the field as a chiropractor. You know, you could open your own practice like I did. But you don't have to, right? As a chiropractor, you have a doctor in front of your name, right? You have that doctorate degree. With that degree, that means I could teach anatomy at NICC, right? I could teach anything within the chiropractic program at a chiropractic college. I could become a chiropractor and we have chiropractors who never work in private practice, and they are our researchers. They sit in research labs, and if I have a cool case study, I'll contact the researcher and I'll say, here's my case study, and they'll say, great, and they will do all the writing and all the data analysis of it, right?
Hmm.
I don't want to do that, but they do it really well, and we have the same degree, right? So there's so many opportunities for people within chiropractic. You can open your own practice. You can work for somebody else within their practice. VA hospitals now are hiring chiropractors more and more. You could work in a VA hospital. You could work at a regular hospital, or up at Mayo starting to hire chiropractors. So there's lots of different opportunities based on what you want to do. Almost every national sports team has a chiropractor through like the NFL, the NBA, that only takes care of that team. There's chiropractors who only will work on certain Olympians. So they might work on like the female gymnasts for the USA or the male runners for the USA. And that's all they do year after year. They just follow those athletes and keep their spine lined up. So there's a lot of choices, right? Which I think is really cool. And I just thought of this too. There are chiropractors who have gone through extra schooling that learn to adjust animals.
Huh.
And so they have an all animal practice where they'll do either small or large animal, but I have a friend, he mainly just only adjusts dogs. I have another friend who's out in Colorado. He only does horses. I have a friend in Arizona, Caitlin. She only does like show horses, and that has like mega money behind it, right?
Yeah.
All these fancy show horses, but that's a lot of pressure too, right?
Yeah.
So there's so many opportunities. People think chiropractor and you think, oh yeah, I'm going to be working in this little office in some town and helping people with neck and back pain. It's like, well, you could do that, but there's a lot more options too, right?
Yeah.
Cool. I feel like I've been talking a lot. Do you want me to keep going? Do we have any questions?
Are there any
Or
questions, Stephanie, on the thing? I can't see if there are any. I just wanted to point out when you had said something about, traditional doctors and stuff like that. I agree with you. It's becoming more and more people are realizing like maybe the side effects of some of the medications that people take, and like, and if you get adjusted, I always compared it to like a water hose or whatever. When there's a kink and the water's not completely flowing, that's like how whenever I needed adjusting, it was like there just needs, like, things aren't flowing the way they're supposed to, the little neurons and synapses are not firing like they're supposed. I don't know the technical terms. I'm just pulling
you
from
got it
biology in high school. But
You got it
and
exactly right.
it's a very valid point, because that's what we're coming to. They're seeing like there's so many different benefits, like you said, a 2-month-old baby, sometimes they have acid reflux. Well, instead of, treating them with medications, because most of the time you don't want to treat 2-month-olds with whatever, and they're colicky, and then that way mom gets sleep and dad gets sleep and baby gets sleep, and just from a little adjustment, and usually when I leave the chiropractor, I just feel looser, like I'm the Tin Man and I've been oiled, like I can move. Like people walk in and they're all stiff, and I live across the street from a chiropractic office, and so like I can see people walking in and they're all stiff, and they walk out and they're just like happy. Like you said, you can provide that for them, so I think that's excellent.
So exactly. It's amazing the change that can take place with one adjustment, right? I mean, the thing I think you're getting to that you're trying to say, Tammy, is that like within chiropractic, the way we view people in the body is that your body is meant to be healthy. It's meant to be independent. It's not meant to be dependent on medication
Absolutely.
or a chiropractor or acupuncture or massage, right? Your body is an independently running machine, so to say, right? That can take care of itself and be happy and feeling good all the time, right? And if you have pain, it should be a temporary thing to let you know, oh, something's not right. Okay, I have pain. Let's see what's going on, and then it should resolve. Oftentimes, and this isn't everyone, but oftentimes like a typical medical doctor is going to view you as like, well, you just had bad luck, or yep, your body's just broken. Oh, you're just old, right? That's all stuff that like in chiropractic world, we're like, no, that's not how it is, right? People shouldn't get more sick as they get older, right? They should actually be able to maintain their health and continue on, right? So it's just a whole different approach, and you really start to see major changes. So for example, this pregnant mom I was working on this morning, she's 6 months pregnant, and she was like, so what are the signs of when you see a newborn or when you don't, or when you want them in your office or when you don't want them in your office? And I'm like, that's a good question, but basically, any kid that's been born, right? And I don't mean to say that to just be like goofy or whatever, but like when you even look at the birth process, first of all, if they're a C-section baby, which we're seeing more and more of, they pull them out by their head, which is a ton of tension on their neck. And then the other thing is if it takes longer than 3 hours for them to go through labor, their head is pushing and pushing and pushing on the birth canal, and they'll damage their neck. And if that kid doesn't get adjusted by a chiropractor, it gets worse and worse. And then oftentimes it leads to the kid spitting up, the kid not sleeping through the night, the kid not being able to poop, like it just piles. And then all of a sudden the kid's 25 and is an unhealthy adult, and we wonder why, right? So the sooner we can get to things and just get little corrections made, the easier we make the whole life for everyone, right? The parents, the grandparents, the siblings, the child. It's really amazing how much you can change things.
So with that being said, what is your least favorite part of the job? Unfortunately, we only got like a couple minutes left, but I mean, obviously everybody has a least favorite part of their job. So what would you say is probably the most difficult part of your job?
So 2 things. One is the paperwork. I always tell people, I didn't get in this for the paperwork. I got in this to work with the people, right?
Yep, exactly.
The paperwork sucks. I'm always behind on paperwork, but I really try by the end of the day or the end of the week to be caught up. The second part that is really hard about the job is the there's a stigma around chiropractic, right? And it's getting better and better as we go. But some people, especially I think older folks, have this idea that we're like quacks, or people will tell me, they'll like, hey, I don't know if you can help with this, or should I go to a real doctor? It's like, no, I actually am a real doctor, right? So that stigma is really, I'm looking forward to a day when that's gone, right? When you're not always having to overcome those things where people don't think maybe we're not real doctors or maybe we're just quacks. Everything we have in healthcare we need at some point for something, right? And if we could all work together, it would just be a lot better. So those are like my 2 things that make the job a lot harder.
Yes, perfect. I think we're about at time. Are we? Okay, so Stephanie has something. Any final thoughts for those interested in a career path in this field? So any recommendations as how to get into it, or?
Yeah, so first thing that I would say is reach out to some chiropractors, like whether that's me. I'd love to talk to more people. I love talking to students or people interested in chiropractic, or whether that's another chiropractor in your community, or maybe you already go to a chiropractor.
Mhm.
And the other thing I would say, well, and interview that person, right? Get
Yep.
more into this, have this conversation, but for an hour or two, right? And then also, if you're not already, go to a chiropractor, because chiropractic is something that you really can't fully understand until you really study it and you experience it, right? It's just not describable, because everyone's experience in it, the adjustment's gonna feel a little different. Your results are gonna be different than your friend or your sibling would be. So those would be like the two inroads: find some chiropractors, go get adjusted, see what it feels like, right?
Yep. Great.
And then there.
What? And then what? I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, just go from there. Like you can look up schools, you can consult Google. It's got tons of stuff. So
Well, thank you very much. That was very informative. And everybody, so you said that they could reach out to you or whatever if they have questions and stuff like that. So and you're at Nordic Chiropractic?
yes, Nordic Chiropractic in Decorah. You can also, most young folks want to text me,
Yeah.
text my office, which is fine. I'm like, I'll try to be up to date with my technology. So my office line is 563-382-1099. And they can text me on that, and we can chat back and forth, or maybe set up a phone call or a visit, or, whatever works. So.
Okay. Well, great. Have a good weekend,
Great.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Laurie.
Yep. Bye.